Garnet, people tell me Shadowrun for PC is not going to be good, and Xbox 360. I don't get it.
Wait, not going to be good, or that it pissed a lot of people off? It's such a long story, but like you could take it down like this.
Tell us about it, Grandpa.
You could take it like this. Basically, Shadowrun went through a bunch of evolutions and ultimately wound up in trouble when FOSSA wound up in trouble. I mean, one of the reasons they wanted to jump into the world was because they're like, oh yeah, we were Shadowrun fans. But I mean, even Microsoft has admitted, and I guess this is the part that's really irked fans, is Microsoft has admitted that you have to think of this more as a game loosely based on the Shadowrun series. Fans of both the pen and paper RPG.
Oh, right.
Which was big.
Actually, you and I are both old enough to remember back when RPGs were played with arcane dice.
I know.
And paper and pencils.
The funny thing about Shadowrun too, with all those dice, remember all the dice you had in D&D? Shadowrun just used D6. The whole system, apparently.
So it was affordable for everyone.
Yeah, it was affordable and available to everybody. And I mean, come on. If you're a fan of Shadowrun,
so it's like
you don't want loosely based on the Shadowrun series.
It's like
shooters.
When they take a game series and loosely base a movie on it. So you're saying Shadowrun for Xbox 360 and PC is basically the Super Mario Brothers movie of Shadowrun?
Oh, God.
Are we gonna have Dennis Hopper like running around jacking into people's skulls?
Well, all I'm saying is that here's a game that like the Shadowrun RPG series was based on all these cool skill systems, and I mean one of the things that people liked about Shadowrun was that you didn't have to really get set in your character like you do in D&D because everything was skill check based. So you could always get characters who could do almost anything, and so it is really great flexible RPG system. But all that only comes through if you do an RPG. They're doing a shooter. They're trying to bring in that whole balance between tech and magic, and that's kind of like the cool angle to it. But that's the loosely based part.
But I mean, it's still like in the Shadowrun world, right? Where you have magic and technology, you have people hacking into brains, but you also have like werewolves casting magic at vampires.
See, that's going to be another part that people don't like. I mean, the whole hacker part was a big part of Shadowrun, and that's largely, from what we've seen so far, not included in this because it is a shooter. I mean, basically, it distills. It's very reductionist in that it takes the whole Shadowrun world and breaks it down into, oh, here are some fantasy archetypes, and they have magic, but there's also bullets and cool tech stuff to play with.
So all the hacking elements just kind of disappear totally?
Yeah.
Is that for real?
Because
when I think of Shadowrun, I don't think of like vampires or whatever. I think of...
You think of dudes with the decks.
Yeah, I think of like, Blade Runner basically, but angrier.
Yeah, it seems like the whole deck and the whole idea of getting into the Matrix and all that element of Shadowrun hasn't translated into the game.
So you're saying that's what Shadowrun should have been?
Well, should have, or that's what fans want. I mean, fans clearly want a Shadowrun RPG. The last one that we all have any experience playing is Genesis. I mean, besides missing the kind of stuff that shooters are missing in depth, it's just, like you said, it doesn't have the hacking, it doesn't have all the classes. I mean, it misses the whole vampirism. You even brought the vampirism. There's no vampiric characters in this. It's very reductionist. It really takes it all down to really basic level to make it fit a tactical shooter.
So it's a Shadowrun McNugget, is what you're saying?
Shadowrun McNugget. Yeah, so get the barbecue sauce and dip away.
So you never really had much experience like with the Super NES Shadowrun?
No,
because I hear that's pretty good.
Much like Luke, I was one of those kids who had to, well, not kid at the time, but I was one of those ones who had to choose between Genesis and Super Nintendo, and yeah.
I want to find someone who can tell me more about the RPGs, because maybe...
Have you talked to Scott?
You mean Sharky?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's all like virtual reality'd out. Maybe he's...
Oh no.
What's up, Lawnmower Man? Hey. Mr. Garnet Lee tells me that you have experience with the Shadowrun milieu, the classic milieu.
Yeah, it's hacking the Cyber City.
So what's the deal with the old Shadowrun games? Are they awesome, or what?
They're pretty damn good. which is weird. Except the Genesis version, I could really bring myself to play that very much.
Mr. Lee says that Genesis is the one to play, but then again, he was bias.
Well, that and he was like playing the pen and paper game, and the Genesis one is probably truer to that, which might be why I didn't like it.
Oh, okay. So it's more open, sandboxy. You can do your own RPG
Yeah, there's a lot of dickering around with skills, and it just didn't appeal to me. Which is weird because I usually like.
But did it have the magic technology mix?
Yep. Yeah, and they had the whole Matrix diving thing. Crappy grid, looked like a Master System game.
So what's not to like about that? I don't get it.
I don't know. I just thought it was kind of ugly. Didn't care for the music, and it was a little directionless. I had no idea what I was supposed to be doing. I always preferred the Super Nintendo game.
So what made that better?
Well, it looked really nice. It had this 3/4 view, nice little animations. It was just weird because it came out of what was it, Studio Melbourne? Everything they made was just a trail of tears. It was just wall-to-wall garbage, and then this sort of nestled in there. But
I remember vaguely playing Super NES Shadowrun and thinking, that's good stuff.
It is weird because it's like a mix of, it's got some RPG to it, it's got some action game to it, and it's got a lot of adventure game to it.
I seem to remember it having a pretty straightforward storyline. Like that was
yeah,
it was very story driven.
You were pretty much railed.
Almost, I was kind of surprised to go back and look at it and realize, oh, this wasn't a Japanese developed RPG. It was actually Western developed because it has a lot of the Japanese RPG hallmarks to it.
What, the linearness?
Yeah.
Well, you had freedom to recruit different guys and whatnot, which was actually something that was kind of bad to do half the time because they were so freaking expensive and money was such a commodity. But now most of what I remember about it was it was very much like an adventure game. You hit a button, little hand comes up, you click on things, manipulate them, look at them, read them, whatever. But there was so much fine detail in it. It was really easy to miss like a 2-pixel dot on somebody's desk that was like a paperweight you needed for a million years later.
Right.
And I got just stuck on that. I rented it like 6 times anyway.
It was adventure game-ish in that it had like set puzzles and you didn't have a lot of freedom to.
Yeah, and in that you weren't like figuring out the puzzles so much as like trying to be an FBI profiler for the guy that designed the game and like puzzle out exactly what he was thinking. I don't know anything about the traditional Shadowrun. I didn't play the game. I think I had a girlfriend that read the books once. Yeah, it's Gibson with trolls and elves and lawnmower man crap. And yeah, it pretty well nailed all that, I think.
It's been so long since I played it, but I mostly remember the technology aspect of the Super NES
that was the important thing.
It was very dystopian.
Yeah, and the fantasy stuff was almost incidental. It's like that guy looks kind of like a troll, but he might just be, I don't know, some guy with a lot of piercings. It didn't really matter that much.
All right. Well, at least I have a better vision of what was good about the old ones. I'll leave you to your virtual realities. Are there any pretty ladies in there?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
No, it's just fucking my eyes. It's great.
But not with pretty ladies.
Not with pretty ladies. There's no porn in the Cyber City.
Sounds like a pretty boring Cyber City.
Dismal future.
All right, I'll leave you to your dystopian future then. And meanwhile, I'll